Welcome in. It's the Second Cut Podcast. I'm Rick Gehman, and this is your recap episode for the extended play, the overtime in Canada. Joining me to break it all down, Greg DuCharme is here. Hello, Greg.
Hey, Rick, Mark, great to be here. It was kind of like the Edmonton Oilers game a couple nights ago. Oilers-Panthers going into double overtime. I mean, this was quadruple overtime. I think we jinxed it on Friday, Rick.
Yeah, we did. We tried to put an 18-hole playoff on this thing. Mark Immelman is also here. He is in the car, but thank goodness this time he is not driving. Much safer of you, Mark.
Yeah, much safer. I've got Greg here at the wheel. He's looking after us. I need to note the time and show you this. Like for the first time in the history of ever, there's no traffic on a Toronto highway. So it's a biblical event here for us, but it was a good day.
We thought that you were getting a police escort. That's why there was no traffic.
No police escort. And if you look over my shoulder, please give a round of applause for the one and only Dottie Pepper, because she did the show and I had the playoff off.
Well done. Well done. I don't think she could hear us, but Dottie, well done indeed. Well, let's jump right on into this because it was a logjam of all log jams. There were seemingly dozens of golfers who could have gotten the job done on Sunday. Mark, take us through the chaos that was that final round.
Well, I think the big thing for me, Greg, was Rick, that was what happened with the weather today, because we had a complete shift in wind direction from Saturday, where the really hard holes, which were like 16, 17, 18, you can perhaps add 15 to those. They were playing downwind, and you had 18, of course, the reachable 5, where Ryan Fox, for argument's sake, hits 7-iron into the par 5 for his second. Those were into this sort of northeasterly, if you will. And it was challenging over those last few holes. And the tour staff, they did shorten some of the tees on 16 and 17 to make the holes play easy. But it was kind of curious to me because I looked at some of the hole locations and you saw they were cutting bowls in areas where you could access them. And then the folks that were out early, they sort of did that, and we saw some low scoring. But then you had a bunch of that leaderboard gravity, and the guys towards the end of the field, you could sense that there was a national open on the line, and things tightened up over the last few holes. And in the end, par was kind of a good score in a lot of those holes. And what could have turned kind of sedate, I think, was quite exciting in the end.
The scoring average played about 2 strokes under par, Greg, over the final round. There was a lot of this day where holes in hand was the key. We saw a lot of guys jump out early and post good scores. Shane Lowry got off to an unbelievable start. We'll get to Sam Burns shooting a 62 and posting here in just 1 second, but it did tighten up. There were definitely guys who were leaderboard watching as they were playing the final couple holes.
Yeah, I don't have the numbers right in front of me, but those holes do get more difficult as you go. Whether they're playing into the wind or downwind, they get a lot harder to make birdies. And it's something we saw throughout the week. Guys on that front 9 would go and get on a real serious run, and it would oftentimes slow down. Not to say that the back 9 was brutally difficult, but it definitely presented more challenge. So that was something to watch. I mean, Sam Burns did it in round 3. Right, he went out, he started eagle birdie. He got to 4 under through 5 holes. It looked like he was going to make a charge, and it just kind of teetered out from there. A lot of that has to do with the setup of the golf course. And the same rang true in this 4th round. But you had it was there for the taking for anybody who wanted it. It seemed like, I mean, were there, Mark, am I right? There were 8 guys tied for the lead at one point. Incredible stuff.
Gosh, yeah, on Saturday afternoon, I think there were 10 at one stage when we came on the air. So it was kind of bananas. And to your point, Greg, the one thing we heard from Stephen Cox, the head rules official for the PGA Tour, ordinarily when you go to other events where there's a history, they can go to shuttling data and they can kind of go, well, players tend to want to drive the ball here. And so these bunkers come into play. And then when we play with these hole locations, the pace of play gets better or it gets slower or whatever. So they have data at their disposal, which helps them alongside the weather forecast to set up golf courses. But with us being at a brand new course this week, it was kind of throwing grass up in the wind a little bit, I mean, they'd have an idea. And I thought with the change in wind directions, the setup was dealt with pretty well, especially with the adjustments we had over the last few holes with teeing grounds. I figured they may move 18 a little shorter to make it reachable, but I don't think even them, without the access to ShotLink data in any course history, would realize how few guys would want to go for that green, given the tight fairways and you're playing off a downsloping lie with water fronting the green. So long-winded to say, I think the course setup staff did a really good job with it.
Yeah, the 18 under par winning score, at least the score that got you into a playoff, which was eventually battled between Sam Burns and Ryan Fox. We'll cover those two, and then we'll get you out of here, Mark. But let's look at Sam Burns first here, because this was the early 62 that I'm not sure I thought was potentially out there this week. And you can see this closing 9, Greg, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in a row from 10 through 14. And then a closing birdie on 18 for the guy that was on your outright card, for the guy that you called your golfer of the week, your must-have player. Burnsy was looking good at about 1 p.m. or about 4 p.m. Eastern time.
Yes, and it only started to look better and better and better. It just seemed like more and more realistic. I was thinking, well, this will be a really nice finish for him, and he has a chance. But there's a lot of guys that are with 18 being a par 5. There's going to be a lot of birdies there. He's going to probably get clipped, I was thinking. But time just kept on ticking by, and rounds kept posting that didn't reach 18 under par, and it was looking better and better. One thing that really impressed me with Sam Burns during regulation was his wedge play. And when you look at what Sam has done this year, he's really struggled with his iron play. And when he first started winning on the PGA Tour, he made a huge jump in his strokes gained approach numbers. And they got really good, and it led to a lot of wins. And that has not been, a weapon for him this year. But all of a sudden today, every time he was inside 130 yards, he was hitting it to 5 feet. I don't think he hit a shot from inside 130 yards outside of 10 feet for the entire round. And he hit like 4 or 5 of them, just stuffing wedges in there all day. I didn't think coming into the week that would be a necessity, but it was clear because there were so many long par 4s. That was really my reasoning. But it turned out to be a huge asset for Sam Burns in this 4th round. And everything that we talked about earlier in the week, Rick, it really did come into fruition this week, especially today.
Yeah, he was already the number 1 putter on the PGA Tour. When you find improved iron play like Sam Burns did this week, it's going to go a long way. That 62 mark, round of the day, and then an opportunity to sit and wait.
Yeah, it was spectacular stuff. And just to the mechanics of the round, I talked about the wind direction. As you made the turn, 8 and 9 were playing back into the wind and playing awfully difficult. I mean, the 9th was uphill, 500 yards, and so 4 was a good score. But then 10, you had an iron and a wedge. 11, they played the par 3 short. It was like an 8 iron. Then 12, you could drive it by the green if you wanted. And then 13 played a little shorter, ordinarily long. And then 14 was gettable. So that run that Sam was on, if you were going to get the golf course, that's where you had to make your hay. And then he sort of hung on to it on the way in. And I'm sort of with Greg. I also got the sense that 18 was perhaps, I think 18 was the number, was not going to be enough. But then as the winds just gusted up a little bit more for the later groups coming through those last few holes, it was almost just hang on to your hats a little bit. So in the end, well played, Sam Burns. I mean, I don't want to say I didn't see it coming, but now that I look back on the golf course and we have a little idea as to what to expect next year, a player of Sam Burns' ilk is perfect around you. If you can drive it along and you can make a few putts on these perfect greens, it's going to be right up your alley.
maybe hanging around, eating a little lunch, starts to get loose as he's dodging bullets, but he couldn't dodge them all. Ryan Fox started the day at 14 under with rounds of 66, 66, and 64 going into the final round. He was bogey free on Sunday, and listen to this finish, Mark. Birdie's on 14, 15, and he drips one over the lip on 18 to punch his ticket to a playoff.
Yeah, it was incredible. He's clearly a guy playing with a lot of confidence, Foxy. And I'll say 15 was no picnic. I was with Kevin Yu, and Hugh drove it in the bushes on the right and made a miraculous birdie. But it was really hard to get to given the wind. And so that was a great birdie. And 16 was playing hard. 17, don't forget, he was in there just with about 6-7 feet underneath the hole, which was special. But that putt on the last, I was up in the fairway waiting for the potential playoff to see what was going to go down. And I said to my on-course guy, Tyler, I was like, make or miss. And turns out I didn't realize that Tyler had actually had a little bet on Ryan Fox for the week. So I was like, make or miss. And he's like, I hope he makes. And when it went in, the place erupted. So it was really cool. And in the end, I don't want to say that I feel like, Foxy was the popular winner because Sam Burns is popular. But I got the sense that the Canadian crowds were well in behind him. So it was a tremendous finish and a well-earned win in the end.
Yeah, you get the international. I feel like the Canadians align a little bit with the internationals. Ryan Fox is a New Zealander. He's got plenty of ties to Adam Scott and Stevie Williams and other guys that are in that President's Cup international ilk, so to speak. So we go to 18, Greg, and we go to 18, and we go to 18, and we go to 18 four times with both Fox and Burns making par on each of the first three run-ins. I will note, Burnsy had a look. Burnsy had a 5'9" putt early in that playoff to close it out. It goes begging before Ryan Fox hits what he described as the shot of his life, a 255-yard fairway wood in close on that fourth playoff hole.
And in between that, he hit a couple of very poor shots and just kind of found his way, his ball just getting closer to the green shot by shot, but they weren't very good. And fortunately, Sam Burns let him off the hook. I mean, you hit it in there to 5 feet, another wedge shot for Sam Burns. This one was from 90 yards on the first playoff hole, hits it in there to 5 feet and misses it. I don't think he made a very good stroke. I know Trevor was talking about it on the broadcast, like maybe he misread it. I thought that putter face got open in transition, and that's why he missed it to the right. But that's just me. It's semantics. Ultimately, he didn't make it. Then you go to the second playoff hole, and this is where Ryan Fox goes for it, but fats it and flares it out to the right, nearly hits it in the water, and hits a pretty weak chip shot. Sam Burns lays up. Probably hadn't. Well, no, it was the third playoff hole. Sam Burns had a chance to go for it and elected to lay up. And I think that was a mistake because then he spins his wedge back off the green and has to work to get up and down for par. It just felt like Sam Burns kept giving away his advantages. And it wasn't until Ryan Fox hit the shot of his life on the fourth playoff hole that we saw a good shot in the playoff. And you're not going to survive that long if you just keep giving away opportunities.
That shot of his life, Mark, 259 yards to 7 feet 2 inches. Didn't even need to make the putt because Sam Burns had 3 jacked by that point. 2 putts later from 7 feet, and Ryan Fox is your Canadian Open champion.
Yeah, I just want to put some context to that shot. But before, I do want to say this. At this event last year, I actually had Ryan Fox in a group because he was in contention and then didn't have the best Sundays. And then today he was in the final group with Dottie on the call there. And I remember him playing with undue delay. And so I said to Dottie in the car, I'm like, do you think he was abnormally fast? And she goes, look, he plays fast. He's always ready. But it did seem like in the playoff, he was almost hitting it on the run. And I found that curious to me. And then when it did come to that 3-wood, it's off a tight lie. These fairways were perfect. They were like greens for most people. Tight lie, downhill lie, fairway middle, into the wind, water in front of the green. I mean, I know he's a professional with his name on the bag, but this is not easy. And to sting that thing up into the air with a big high cut and get it to land so soft, that was special. I mean, for me, that should go down as one of the great shots of the year on the PGA Tour. And in the end, well earned. And I sort of joked with Tyler because now we're watching the show because I'm done with my assignment. And Tyler, of course, had the bet on Foxy. And I said to him, I'm like, well, for your sake, I hope Burns 3 putts because Ryan is not going to make that thing at all. And so he laughed. And in the end, it worked out pretty well. But I tell you what, that 3-wood was special. It was top drawer.
Not his first win on tour, Greg. Not even his first win in the last month. He won the Myrtle Beach Classic just 4 starts ago, in between a T28, the PGA Championship, and a T20 at the Memorial. Foxy is playing some confident golf.
Yes, it's very clear that he's figured something out. And all of a sudden, the skill set that we see, and we've seen it early on in some tournaments. If you're watching like ESPN Live or, early round of a major, you see Ryan Fox's name up there and you see the club head speed, which is over 120 miles an hour. You see the ball speeds. You're like, this guy can go. And then he had a tendency of really fading off in these PGA Tour events, but winning in Myrtle Beach the way he did clearly put a lot of confidence into him because he played pretty well in the next 2 events, played well at the PGA Championship, and now coming into a golf course that suits his game. It certainly suit his game more than Matteo Manacero, who was in the final group of them. Fantastic story. But, Ryan Fox's length and distance, it's a really big advantage. And he's an established ball striker this year, at least on the PGA Tour. So Ryan Fox definitely makes sense as a winner. He especially on a golf course like this, especially with the form he enters with.
Yeah, second PGA Tour win. He's got 6 worldwide. The other 4 were DP World Tour victories. Mark, I feel terrible to hold Dottie Pepper and Brian hostage. So we are going to give you final word here on Canada, and then we are going to get you back to the hotel nice, safe, and sound.
First off, I'm happy finally to hit a matchup because Rasmus over Eric Cole cashed for me. Yep. I'm very excited about that. And to Greg's thing about ball speed and stuff, as folks are looking towards this event for next year, if you can move it off the tee, I mean, I was with Kevin Yu today and he's long off the tee. If you can hit it straight long, you're going to make hay. And that's kind of the recipe around this course. As far as the event goes here in Canada, hats off to the fans. They show up en masse. I mean, there was a bit of a debacle Saturday with getting fans into the premises, and happened on Friday as well. But they just kept coming. And you guys know we've got like an hour and a half commute to downtown, and the fans from Toronto proper, they've come from all over the place, and they showed up en masse and they have a lot of fun. And so hats off to the fans, hats off to Golf Canada, year in and year out. It somehow seems that this thing gets always exciting over the end. So it's a thrill to come back. And this one was another good one.
Well, we enjoyed listening to you for the week. We're excited to get your thoughts on the U.S. Open and chat as much as possible for next week. Please send our best to your car mates. And it was good chatting with you, brother.
Will do. Take care, boys.
Thanks, Mark.
I feel bad. I feel bad having had somebody else doing a podcast in the car with you.
Yeah.
I'm glad
everybody else be quiet.
Yeah, please be quiet for the next hour. I've got a podcast to do.
No music. You can listen to me talk.
But it was great that we were able to get him in there and chat.
Yes. His insights are fantastic, and it's great to be able to have boots on the ground, especially at a new venue like that. To get a sense of what the wind was doing, it's just fantastic.
So I want to kind of circle back on a couple of items here, Gregors, because we've got Burnsy and we've got Fox. Now, we talked about how they were dodging bullets the whole way. One of the bullets that they ended up dodging was Cam Young, who for a moment there, I mean, think about all this stuff that's happening, right? We've got Sam Burns. It's been, a couple years since his last win. We've got Ryan Fox trying to charge. We've got Kevin Yu in the mix. We've got Cam Young, the man who has taken an absolute beating on golf Twitter over the course of the last handful of years because of his inability to close, is sitting in the fairway on 18 with a chance to make birdie and get into a playoff. And he didn't really help his cause here on golf Twitter, Greg.
No, but most of the time golf Twitter has no clue what they're talking about.
That's what I love so much about it.
Yes, of course. So if you're Cam Young, and hopefully you're just not on Twitter, and if you are, there's no connection to you being a golfer. Because first of all, the thing that I would say to Cam is, the reason you take a beating on golf Twitter is because you're really, really good. Okay. Nobody else. I'm not even going to throw a name out there, but there are a lot of guys on the PGA Tour that don't win, that don't take a beating on golf Twitter. And that's because nobody thinks that they're any good. But Cam Young, everybody thinks he should be winning tournaments. And so they get invested in him and they back him and they root for him, and he lets him down. And he gets in the mix a lot. And so, look, this was a really impressive performance. Some of the tee shots that he hit, like the drive he hit at 1, the drive he hit at 6, the drive he hit at 12. I mean, he got it into the greenside bunker on 12. And then the one on 18, I think he hit, if I'm not mistaken, Rick, I believe he hit 6 tee shots over 320 today. Oh,
my God.
Right? He's just launching it. And then he hits, similar to Ryan Fox, a 3-wood that he thought was the shot of his life.
Well, it was definitely the most flushed of his life. If you just look at the cold hard shot link numbers, he had 260 yards to the hole and he hit it 286 yards. That's 26 yards long.
Yes. Now, he said afterwards that his 3-wood doesn't go that far. It was into the wind. I mean, that thing is just smoked.
Yeah.
And from that kind of a distance, I would, if I'm his caddy, I'm saying, look, long is fine.
Right.
You cannot come up short. Long's fine. Short is not. But you wouldn't expect it to go into the woods. I didn't see anybody else back there all week.
No. And I'll tell you what, that was after an unbelievable par that he made on 17 from the garbage, in which it looked, there were so many things about this. He was so far right on 17.
Yeah.
And he was in, I couldn't even see his golf ball. For whatever, did you see as he's addressing his ball, the cameraman just standing right in front of him?
Yes.
What are we doing, guys? What are we doing?
We need to learn from what happened with Jordan Spieth last week and get out of the way more so than you need to. Out of the way. Everybody.
He makes this. I didn't even think he could advance that ball. He hits it 144 yards up the hole. Through the fairway, leaves himself 92 yards, gets up and down from 92 yards to preserve his chance in this tournament, finds the fairway on 18, and I'm thinking, here it is, the breakout moment for Cam Young.
And it's kind of like your perfect setup, right? You're posting a number.
Yeah.
There wasn't a whole lot of expectation coming into the day. While he's in the mix, you're not thinking, well, Cam Young better win this. Right. It's not like some other instances where he really should have won. It's not like that at all. So, and he goes out there and delivers. This is the perfect recipe. We always talk about, how do you get your first win? How does Rory win a major when he hadn't for so many years? Does he come from 7 back and post kind of a thing? Sometimes it feels easier to do that. But for Cam Young, this was the recipe, and he hit the shots. That is the killer. That's the hard part, is he he hit the shots he needed to hit. He stepped up. And I would say, look, I was very high on Cam Young coming into this week as well. Actually, I know I've been talking for a long time here. I have a funny story you will love.
Oh, I love funny stories, Greg.
PGA Tour fantasy game.
Yeah.
Okay. I make my list. There's no pricing. There's no order. You just got to go and click on your guys.
Yeah.
I want Cam Young. I want Sam Burns. I had like Pendrith and Taylor and like Matty Schmid, who missed the cut. One other guy who missed the cut. I didn't click Cameron Young. I clicked Carson Young.
Oh, no.
I know the difference between these two. I know it clearly. Like I have picked Carson Young more than Cameron Young on purpose. And I clicked Carson instead of Cam. I still won the week in my league, but for the season long, I probably would be the leader if it weren't for that mistake. Crucial
Wow. Error. That is tough, and probably one that you won't make again.
No. And I've never made it before because like I know these guys. I know Carson Young. I know Cameron Young. I'm not mixing them up.
That's tough. I hate that for you.
Yeah. I looked at it Friday morning. I was like, okay, I got what Carson? What have I done?
What?
And now he almost wins the thing.
Oh,
sure.
Boy.
I mean, very easily could have won.
Yeah, very easily could have won. Well, it's Sam Burns in first, or excuse me, Ryan Fox in first, Sam Burns in second, Kevin Yu in third, Cam Young kind of starts the log jam of golfers here. Just to hit a couple of notables before we've got matchups and I've got stuff that I'm sick about on the betting board. We've got to do a little early preview of the US Open, but let me hit a couple of notables here, Greg. Nick Taylor ended up being the top Canadian. That was obviously a popular market for this week. He finishes in a tie for 13th at 13 under. He had himself a really strong week, 66, 65, 69, 67. He played his final 2 holes today in 2 over. He doubled 17. He parred 18. But you've got to love the way Nick Taylor's game has been rounding into form.
Yeah, he lays it all on the line. And what I love to see is his approach play rounded into form. He gained nearly 5 strokes approaching the green this week. And that was on full display today. It's a little interesting. There's some hit and miss. Like Nick Taylor made a lot of 25 footers today, maybe three long putts that you wouldn't necessarily count on making, but he missed like 4 or 5 footers. Which is a little frustrating, and the double on 17 is frustrating. So it probably evens out. The performance probably didn't warrant a victory. There were just too many sloppy mistakes. And when you don't have the club head speed of a Cam Young or a Ryan Fox or a Sam Burns, it becomes challenging to compete. And to keep yourself up in the mix is a great sign. But there were just too many. What I would say he probably looks at as simple mistakes, missing the green on the wide side and not getting it up and down. You can't do that when you're Nick Taylor. But he's playing great golf.
Yeah, he really is. Game's rounding into form. Speaking of playing great golf, I want to talk about Shane Lowry. He is a complete enigma to me. So listen to this start. Eagle. Birdie. He is 5 under through 4. He is at 14 under. I don't expect him to shoot a 56. I don't expect him to shoot a 57. But he then plays the rest of this round at 2 over par, puts 1 more circle on the card, limps home, and I don't have the round by round stuff in front of me. This feels like he's always limping home.
Yep, it does. Normally, it feels like he limps home when he's close and then he's not. And at that moment, it's like which I view in some ways as a good thing because he's playing to win, which I appreciate. I respect. I understand that emotion. Like it's what we saw at the Masters when he went nuts on the reporters for asking him about Rory McIlroy. You know, that's the kind of fire that I think leads him to limp on so many Sundays. But the truth is that the putter just got ice cold. And then I wonder if there's fatigue that sets in, because you see like the tee shots that he hit on 16 and 17 are just way right. After driving it beautifully all day, all of a sudden the big miss comes out late. And that's disappointing. You know, I think after that start, if he shoots 66, he shoots 64, 6 under, that would have been very respectable. Like, you're not expecting someone to go bat 1,000, but you make a couple bogeys, that's okay. But you got to balance that out. So it's another disappointing finish after playing great golf, which is a little bit of a conundrum.
He is shorter than Sepp Straka to win the U.S. Open next week, which I don't know if I necessarily agree with. The metrics are awesome. He's knocking the cover off the golf ball.
Oh,
but it is that Sunday round, or just a bad 9 here on Saturday, and it's just like, oh well, it's over.
If you're running models or anything in these big events, he's like, you know, I do those trends, like who's going to win based on the numbers of the past US Opens or whatever.
Yeah.
And his name it's always there till the end. He was the guy at the Masters that fit all the trends.
Oh, right.
He was close at the PGA. And the crazy thing is he does what he says he's going to do. Like, he hits it great. He's in the mix. Closing's been a little bit of an issue.
Do we have the grid, Mina? Because Mark mentioned Rasmus got him a victory. You've been very good here, Greg. So Cam Young, top 20, no problem there. You had Sam Burns at 28-1, which buddy, I was counting that win with 5 feet 9 inches to go. I was putting a check mark on this grid.
I was a little worried when Ryan Fox, his putt and regulation went in, because it's a long time it was 2 hours.
2 hours.
That's a long time to not. Now you got to go play for everything. Like, playing around a golf is so interesting. It's like, you know, when you go to the fair and you get like one shot, a basketball shot, and if you make it, you win a huge stuffed animal.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, all of a sudden golf becomes that in a playoff after 2 hours. It's like there's no flow to the round. There's no easing your way into it. It's just, can you hit this shot? You get one chance.
Right.
And I think that's a hard thing to do. But he hits it in there to 5 feet. It's like, okay, that's no longer an issue. The long wait is no longer an issue after that first hole. And he should have won it right there.
He striped all 4 drives, had that one really good approach, probably was too aggressive on his first putt on the 4th and final playoff hole.
Yeah. Way too aggressive.
Sam Burns should have won that.
My gosh. I mean, on the 3rd playoff hole, the one where he spun it back with the wedge, he should have gone for that.
Agreed.
He was in range to go for it. And it's like, that's the time to go win. Ryan Fox had already laid up. You can win in one shot right now. Yeah. Go do it.
He was in like the same spot that he was on the 4th one. And if he would have hit that same shot, it would have been to a better pin location. He should have just done that.
Yeah, it would have been over. I mean, anywhere up over the water, and you're going to put so much pressure on Foxy's layup, who laid back a good ways. I think he had like 128. So that was the 5-footer is the obvious one. And the second shot on the 3rd playoff hole, I also thought was a mistake.
I was also counting Jake Knapp finishing inside the top 20, Greg, because he started the day in 6th. and he birdied his first 2.
Oh,
So he was at, let's see here, 2 under, that would be 16, 14 under par right out of the gate.
jeez.
And then he, I don't know, fell apart. He shot a 37, which was 2 over. There were only 9 guys over par today. He was one of them. He drops 21 spots from 6th to 27th, which is now, of course, outside the top 20. That's how that works. 27 is higher than 20. And I have to give this money back that I have already spent.
I feel for you. Jake Knapp lost 4 strokes putting today. Lost a shot, nearly a shot and a half approaching the green, which had been pretty good leading into the week. So in round 4, he lost 4 strokes putting. He gained strokes putting for the week. You don't expect to see that. So I feel for you. God, this looks pretty good. This list looks pretty darn good. If a couple things, like we should have had it outright. We should have had Knapp. Max Homa missed the cut by 1 and made. Yeah, so Max Homa shot 2 under, missed the cut by 1, and
I actually think
double at 11.
So I actually think I was looking at this. I might have to bring Mina on and have a word. So Homa and Kiefer both missed the cut, but Homa was 2 under and Kiefer was even. So we have normally we would grade this as a win.
What do the books say?
It would be a win, right? I think it's house rules, but most places, if you both miss the cut, the guy who shot 2 strokes better wins, right?
I could definitely see that argument. Now, there are times where I'd like that to be the other way.
That's right. Here she is.
I can make that change if you'd like.
Well, of course we'd like it.
Yes, now is the time, Mina.
I mean, my God. What do we have to do? Beg?
Wait, I'm sorry. Which one was it? The Homa Kiefer one?
Yes.
Well,
Yeah.
I specifically asked Rick that the very first week that we did this show, and he said that would be a push.
It was probably because we had the wrong side of it.
Right. So
You
this
gotta
goes, I mean, we are the house. So it's
Help
house
us.
rules, and those change based on circumstance.
Yeah, the rules are the rules. I'm the house, and that's the rule.
Oh,
All
God.
right.
Help us out a little bit. My goodness. Goodbye. Especially in a week like this. My gosh. Okay. Well,
Yeah, a heartbreaking grid. I mean, it has all the ingredients of being glorious and free.
Oh,
You see what I did there?
I did. Instead, it is whatever the opposite of glorious and free is.
It's heartbreaking. Yeah, it's a loss.
Undistinguished.
We've had worse weeks.
Oh, we will have worse weeks. So don't you just worry about that. But we're going to have better weeks, and they're going to happen immediately because next week is the US Open. Greg, have you heard of it?
I have. And I love the US Open at Oakmont. I think it's just like 2007, I was just getting into the game. It was like peak interest golf fan kind of level. And you had Tiger right there in the mix, had a chance. And this guy, Angel Cabrera, smashing drivers.
Yeah.
And I'm like rooting so hard for Tiger, but Angel is so cool at the time. I'm like, oh,
At the time.
who is this guy? So that's just a really special memory of Oakmont for me. And it made the US Open my favorite tournament until a couple years later, the Masters surpassed it as I gained a little more knowledge.
Let me ask you something, because I've looked at a lot of golf courses in spreadsheets. I've looked at a lot of golf courses with my eyeballs. I've looked at a lot of golf courses from satellite imagery and all that stuff. This looks like it is going to be the hardest golf course I have ever seen. And I know that is like what the conversation is going. Can it really be that hard?
I have that debate all the time. Normally I say no. I say no. Like they can these guys
They're
are
so
so
good.
good.
They're so
The only way it can get that hard, air quotes that hard, is when they lose the golf course. The USGA loses the golf course like Shinnecock.
Right.
But I wonder with Oakmont if it can be that hard and fair. Like
I don't think it couldn't. Where do you think? How important is fair on a scale from 1 to 10 to the USGA?
Well, like in their lifetime, not very important.
Right.
Recently, it's gotten more important.
Yes.
So I think it is. I don't think they want a rules catastrophe to be the story here. But you got things like the things that are coming out about it is of course the rough videos, which I have I have a thought on. Also
on the videos or on the rough? You have a thought on the videos?
The videos we always see,
Right.
And what we're actually going to see.
Yeah.
So you got all those videos that say it's going to be impossible if you hit it in there. And then you have greens that are expected to roll at 14.5.
That's an insane number.
It's insane.
And they're huge greens that
are like slopey.
Yes. So the ball's never going to stop. You're going to have, like, you're never going to be able to just go tap it in after you lag it up there.
There's a video that Jeff Ogilvy did talking about it, and there's a line in it that says gravity is the biggest defense at Oakmont. Which is terrified. It's absolutely terrifying with greens that roll 14.5 on the stimp meter. See, now that's where you get to the border of unfair.
100%.
Now the ball doesn't stop. Now you got rules disasters awaiting, like we had in 2016 with Dustin Johnson. I know they've cleaned some of those things up in the rules, but it becomes a total debacle. Just hard to finish the tournament. If you get any wind at 14, it's like your desk.
Yeah, there's no friction. There's no there's no. Scotty Scheffler had a great quote about this a couple of years ago. I forget where they were, but it was like, and when you think it's going to break, there's not even enough friction to break. It's just like a hardwood floor.
Just keeps on rolling. Did he say that
have
at
anything
Pinehurst?
to grab? What was that?
Did he say that at Pinehurst?
Maybe it was Pinehurst.
Because he struggled there.
Yeah, maybe it was Pinehurst. But I just like, it just looks impossible. I mean, the fairways are so it looks like winged foot but harder.
Yeah, I think it's harder than winged foot in some aspects. Which is very strange to say, but I think the rough, like what we saw in 2020 winged foot, the rough was long. It's going to be way harder here.
Why?
Well, one, winged foot was in September.
Yeah. They
cut the rough more than expected before that tournament. This rough is 5 inches. Okay. And when it comes to long rough like that, rough at that length typically doesn't stand up. It's too long, right? It lays down in one direction or another.
Right.
So you can get some terrible lies if the grass is laying back to you, or good lies if it ends up being down grain. But at Oakmont, they have these mowers that they, I saw this in an interview. I think the Fried Egg did this, and they had their superintendent on. And they have these custom mowers that can cut the grass higher than normal. Like a normal mower, you can only cut it at 3.5 inches. They have customized them to where you can cut it at 5. And when you freshly cut grass, stands up better, stands up straight. So the ball goes straight to the bottom. So that's where, right. So it's it's a bluegrass kind of a scenario. Normally rough in the Northeast, even when it's long, often it will sit up a little bit. And you kind of got to get a bad break to have no shot. This looks to me like everything is going to go right to the bottom, no matter where you are. There's no trees out there, so it's not like any area will be a little thinner because of a lack of sun. That's not going to happen. It's just going to be like hay. And we've seen chip outs like the last 2 weeks at Muirfield Village, which was 4-inch rough, and up in Canada, you saw some guys chipping out on long par 4s, literally chipping out of rough because of the grass. Now you're going to have longer rough at the U.S. Open. I'm always cautious about this, Rick, but this looks like it really is going to be that hard.
I'm with you. I'm always cautious too, because I'm like, somebody will go shoot like 6 or 7 under. I don't know, man. Like it looks brutal. So, I mean, are you of the belief that, again, the prevailing conversation is that there are 6 guys who can win this golf tournament, and people assume that it is, the big 6. It's the big 3, Scotty, Rory, Bryson, throw Xander in the mix, throw Rahm in the mix, throw, I don't know, Ludwig in the mix, and throw maybe one more in the mix. And that's Xander. Did I say Xander? And
yeah,
those are the only guys that can win. Do you agree with that sentiment?
Well, no.
Okay.
When it gets this hard, I think there's an element of fortune that comes into play, right? If it's blazing fast, and I don't know, it looks like there might be some rain earlier in the week.
Yeah. I think like Monday, Tuesday, maybe even Wednesday, there's some rain in the forecast.
So, it might not be like this the whole week, but when you get extreme conditions, a little more fortune comes into play. I think that can take out some of the really heavy hitters. You don't have to play bad to shoot a bad score, kind of a deal. And some things go your way, you put together a couple good rounds, hang on. In a strange way, I feel like it opens it up. That being said, I ran my numbers today, all the trends, and it came out with 4 to 6 guys. You want to hear?
Obviously.
All right. So the last 6 winners of the U.S. Open were gaining 1.1 strokes, or a little more than that total. So I have a list of guys who were doing that. A tee to green, they were gaining in the year of their win 0.9 strokes tee to green.
Okay.
They all had a T8 or better in their last 5 starts.
Okay.
They had at least one. This is something I find to be very interesting when I study this stuff. They had at least one tournament in their last 5 where they gained 2.482 strokes off the tee or more. Okay. So now they had at least one tournament where they gained 1.3 or more strokes approaching the green in their last 5. 1.6 around the green in their last 5. Again, at least one. 1.5 putting in their last 5.
Where did you find this? Did you come up with this?
Yes.
Okay.
I do. I look at what I have a little process. I got all these sheets of paper, and I find out what did the winners do, and what I want to know is what did the winners look like before they played.
Of course, yes.
Right. It's one because that we haven't played this yet, so I don't really care if the winner every year leads in driving distance. Are they the longest coming in?
Right. Oh, I hate the guy who won.
Putted the best.
It's like, yeah, no kidding. The guy who won played the best. Like,
yes,
congrats.
So I'm always trying to get into what did they look like beforehand, and it's kind of the way I look at the way I assess a regular tournament as well. But now I'm just in this. I'm finding who meets all the same exact criteria that all 6 of the last winners had.
Okay,
and so it comes up to Scheffler, McIlroy, Again, I did this today, so this is before Canadian Open stats. But
Okay.
Scheffler, McIlroy, Bryson, Neiman, Rahm, and Hatton.
Wow.
4 live guys, Scheffler and Rory. Now, the previous 6, this is where it gets a little complicated, right? Because I would like to do PGA Tour rankings and stats. I got to go to strokes gain data because we got live too. So it's the only way that I could really include those guys because they deserve to be included because there are guys that could win. So if you take out, like in these off the tee gains, last 5 events, off the tee approach, around the green, and putting, if you take out live numbers, so these guys have to do it in the 2 majors that they've played, or it didn't apply, but a DP World Tour event. Right. Bryson is out on approach.
Wow.
And Hatton is out on putting.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
So that leaves Scheffler, Rory, Neiman, Rahm.
Dude, yeah. I think that's right.
I wouldn't even include Rory in that.
I hate to break it to everybody. It's going to be Scheffler versus Bryson on Sunday. Like, I hate to break it to you.
I'm just fascinated to see how the breaks go, because again, it's like this can get a little crazy. I generally, statistically, I totally agree with you. But are these guys just going to start getting, like, is this going to be hit it out there and you have it can land in the middle of the fairway and end up in the 5-inch rough?
So, so the other thing I was thinking about was I was just looking at, so the forecast is not as bad as I thought. Monday looks like they're going to get like a 1/4 inch of rain, maybe on Monday afternoon or Monday night, but the rest of the week looks pretty clean until like Saturday, but that's Saturday. Anything could happen. I did think that while they'll never do preferred lies, a little softer fairway would keep it effectively makes fairways wider.
Yes.
Which made me think that could change some things, but I just don't know if that would be enough. You know what I mean? If it can bounce once and slam on the brakes and drop an anchor before it gets to that 5-inch rough.
Well, even if it's running out 20 yards, like a normal PGA Tour event, and it's not going all over the place, that brings it to like these 4 guys.
Yeah.
Kind of a thing. Maybe these 6 guys, right? The last criteria, take with it what you will. I just kind of thought 6 guys was too many. So I got it down to 4. But that's kind of what we're looking at here. I think it opens up if it's unpredictable when the ball lands in the fairway. That's where, and if the ball's not stopping on the greens, it takes away from the quality of your shot to a degree, which is that's why at the PGA, it was so obvious to me that this was Scheffler, Bryson, Rahm, McIlroy, Xander, kind of like it was big guns. I'm a little more concerned at a U.S. Open because it could get a little wonky out there, and that I think hurts the best players. If good shots aren't rewarded, I think it hurts the best players.
Our schedule for next week is back to being the full schedule because it is a major championship. So we will be doing round by round recap. So that is Tuesday for the mega preview, Thursday post round, Friday post round, Saturday post round, Sunday post round. That's how that works with round by round recaps, which I will not be on site, Greg. So I am ready. I'm in the pod cave and I'm ready to just like, I'll do a 3-hour show. I don't care.
I'm here. I'm in the pod cave too. Let's talk.
Let's talk. We're just going to pop. I think we should just stay live for like 72 hours. Just turn on and just like go in and out of the room if we need to, like whatever.
Just like a live stream, a live all day stream.
Right.
I might be able to do that on Saturday and Sunday. I don't know if I can do that on Thursday and Friday, but I can. When we get towards the end of this thing, we get into the afternoon, I can get on whenever you want.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll see. But At least we'll be here after each and every round. We know that. Okay. That'll do it. We are putting a bow on the Canadian Open. We're looking forward to the US Open. We've got lots more to come. Big thanks to producer Mina. She does all the hard work behind the scenes. Mark Immelman and Dottie Pepper, who's now made an appearance on the pod. And Brian, the driver, who's now made an appearance on the pod. Greg DuCharme at The Real GFD. I'm Rick Gehman at Rick Run Good. This has been The Second Cut. We'll catch you next time.